Hi, Jody. Thank you so much for coming on today and for spending some time with me.
You're welcome, Terry. I'm excited. I love talking to you,
Me,
regardless of the topic.
me too. I always enjoy our conversation. So let's dive into your business because I really want to talk about how you got into your niche and how you found this business. But first of all, maybe you can give the audience a little bit of background on who you are and what it is you do.
Okay. I'm Jodi Bourne, and I am a, it's hard to even describe to people what I do because it's such a foreign thing in a lot of people's minds. But I help vacation rental owners who want to build a more professional brand. So, in other words, they're not just an Airbnb, they're a vacation rental business. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're a property management company. It could just be that they have three or four, one, two, three or four of their own properties, and they want them to be more professional. They want them to really highlight and be a great experience for their guests, and make it into a business. So I usually help with website design, consulting, help them go through the entire process. Sometimes I've even helped people choose the rental before they have bought or built.
Wow.
Um, so I help in all stages, and in all locations. I've worked with in almost every continent.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yes, not Antarctica yet. So, but I
Yeah, Jody.
yeah, actually not in Africa or Antarctica, but everywhere else.
Cool. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I am just so fascinated by how you got into this niche. How did you, because you got into this before this was even a
Yeah.
thing.
Yes, I did. And it's really so I am a Texan. You can tell from my accent. I'm a Southern girl, and I'm a fifth generation Texan. And I also love history and culture. The culture of the state of Texas. Texas is a really big place. There's lots of influences of all different cultures here. There's the Hispanic culture, German culture, Czechoslovakian culture, French, Native American. I mean, just this big melting pot, really, of different cultures. And because of my love of culture and history, I travel a lot. My kids growing up I was a single mom for 15 years and had three children. And we were, of course, broke because I was a single mom for 15 years. And so
Right.
we staycationed. We did tent camping. I mean, our vacation was like, let's go down to the town down, 40 miles away and spend a day exploring. And just,
Nice.
we would go to caves, or we would go to swimming holes, or we would go to festivals or fairs, or, all these just different things. Sometimes we would just ride around and look at historical markers and read and learn. And, I mean, that Dave's my poor kid. They're like all their friends are going to the beach or going wherever, and we're going to the fair. But
Aw,
it was a great, very cultural upbringing for them. And we called it small town fun, and we just learned how to have fun in small towns. And so that kind of was how my love of travel began.
mm,
And then as I got older, I didn't go back to I didn't go to college until I was an adult. But my kids were, gosh, my youngest was 2 and my oldest was 13 when I went to college. And I was very clear on what I wanted to do. I wanted to do nonprofit public relations. Um,
okay.
I'd had a lot of help because I was a poor single mom, and a couple of my children had some health issues. So I was very clear that I wanted to work for a services, like a woman services type industry, yeah, or type nonprofit. So I was very clear on that. Went to college, graduated from college. My first job out of college was at a women's domestic violence center
Wow.
in Austin, Texas. So it was just like the perfect setup. And I loved it so much, but it really eats at your soul
I
to be
bet.
in an industry. And as I had been a survivor of domestic violence and domestic control, My first husband was very abusive in lots of ways. And so it just was heavy, it was really heavy. And
Yeah.
then also my oldest daughter at the time was about 14, was having a lot of mental health issues. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And it just seemed like I needed to be home.
Mhm.
Luckily, I lived with my parents and I was able to quit that job. And so I quit that job and had made connections on Instagram and Twitter with I mean, not even Instagram, it wasn't around yet, but on Twitter with people in my area who enjoyed music, the same kind of music I enjoy. And
Nice.
so I immediately just put a thing out there that I was freelancing in social media and, if anybody needed anything. And I started getting just little jobs here and there, like help doing this, help setting up somebody's Facebook page, helping a musician, learn how to do Twitter. And I was really having fun with that. I mean, some jobs were like 25 bucks, here's 25 bucks. Can you
Yeah.
show me how to set up Facebook? But again, I was lucky. I was blessed. I lived with my parents. I was getting child support.
Mhm.
I was able to really, practice networking. So
Nice.
this is the coolest thing is one of the things that I did is I live in a really small tourist town in the Texas Hill Country near Austin. So I started having these Instagram and Facebook lesson workshops where I would charge people
Cool.
$50 to come in for the day and they would take my little class. I'd have slides. I mean, this was before Zoom, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, so we're talking this is 2010.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2010 and 11. And so they would come in. Well, this one lady that I met, her name was Sherry, and she owned 4 little cabins out near a lake outside of Wimberley. And she came in to learn how to do Facebook. And we got to talking, and she hired me to help her set up her Facebook ads. She had vacation rentals,
Nice.
these little cottages. Well, at the same time as that happened, our little town, Wimberley, Texas, had a big, huge flood right after that in about 2013, 14, I think it was, 15. Big flood and killed some people. And we're a huge vacation town, huge tourist town. One of the top, and I mean, I think we were listed as the top small town in the state of Texas to visit a couple years
Wow.
ago. And so when that happened, it devastated our tourism industry here in town.
Yeah.
And of course, overnight, I mean, we were national news. David Muir and Lester Holt were in our town. Black Hawk helicopters looking for survivors, buildings
Wow.
washed away, people died. It was horrible.
Terrible.
Horrible. Yeah, it was a big flash flood on the river. And it was really, I mean, you've seen those pictures of cars and houses
Mhm.
floating down. That was our town.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so I started a blog right after that because I mean that we were suffering, the town people were suffering because the tourism wasn't coming. So then here I had like it was just like tourism was everywhere around me, how I could participate in helping people with tourism and promoting tourism and I had always loved tourism.
Yeah.
And I took that small town charm, which was a hashtag I started using on Twitter and Facebook and at that time Instagram and using that hashtag small town charm, more people started following me and reaching out to me about how to promote their
Wow.
small town charm. And so that was kind of like, it was fun. Like I didn't
Yeah.
even see it as work. It was just fun.
Yeah.
So then fast forward a couple more years, I am working with an event venue in San Marcos, Texas, which is right outside of it's a larger college town. And that events venue, I was freelancing with them or contract with them as their marketing director. And part of working with them, I participated or applied for a tourism grant. It was called a Heads in Beds grant. So that they gave us $50,000 that I could use on marketing and promotions and advertising of anything I wanted. I mean, it was my money
Nice.
basically to spend 50 grand to spend
Amazing.
on advertising and PR. So I was able to use that money and learn. I learned how to
Mhm.
do write radio ads. I learned how to do Facebook and social media ads. I took a web design building course to to help build their website and
Wow.
then also to promote things, you know? So when I won that, part of it was I had to be on this committee in the area for Heads
Mhm.
and Beds committee, which also was vacation rentals, hotels, bringing people into the community that were going to stay 2 or 3 or 4 nights. And so
Right.
I was part of that committee and met more vacation rental hosts, owners, and they just started reaching out to me everywhere I
Wow.
went. I was on Facebook. I was getting messages every day from people. Please help me with my vacation rental. Please help me do this, or they were with a
Mhm.
property management company and they wanted help, doing it themselves. Some people had owned one for years, like they'd owned it for 30 years, but
Mhm.
because marketing had changed, they weren't getting the same kind of business that they had in the past.
Mhm.
So I started helping them set it up on Airbnb, elevate by um, giving them advice on what amenities to use, all of that.
Oh,
So
wow.
anyway, there is my like, how long have we been here now? 45 minutes because I've told you this story, but it's just like, I really believe in things coming together and
Yeah.
it just all like seemed to come together all together at once. So, and I love it. I still love it every single day, which, because we talk frequently,
Yeah,
you
and it
know,
it shows how much you love it. Like, when you talk about what you do, you emanate this energy that just shows how much you really love what it is that you do.
yes, I do. I love working with people anyway. I mean, I would work with people and I have in other industries and doing other things. One thing I really love about it, besides the tourism aspect, is most of the people that I work with are women,
Mhm.
and they're either women investors or they're women who it's almost like they're trying to prove that they
Yeah.
can do this successfully on their own. And it's not like they're, out there to prove to their husbands anything, but I always get that sense in the back of my mind. It's like they want to show their husbands, I told you that this could be a success and look what
Yeah.
I've done. Or maybe with one lady that I've worked with, it's always her kids. Her
Aw.
husband died. Her kids told her she was crazy when they had 2 condos and she wanted to promote one and make it a vacation
Mhm.
rental. They told her to sell it and take the money and invest it. And now, I mean, she's got 4 condos.
Nice.
Yeah. And she's 65 years old. So
Amazing.
it's those people that I just love helping so much because they're really out to prove it to the world that they can do it. And now I work with investors, younger people, and again, it's the same thing. They're making a business, but they're making a business in hospitality and travel. And so I tell them I get to be a part of their guests' great vacation.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it sounds to me, and I hear this from a lot of business owners, and I always love stories like yours because it sounds to me like you had never planned on going into this, but it just kind of these breadcrumbs were left for you and you followed them along and it led you to where you are now. And
that's right.
yeah.
That is exactly right. Like if somebody had told me, in 2011 that I could have a every day get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and work till 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, successful
Mhm.
business doing this, I would have been like, there is no possible way. Cause it's not a career,
Right.
but it is.
But it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not something we think of as sort of a traditional business or a traditional career path. And
Right.
so it's yeah, I could, it's not one of those things that people think of. What do you want to be when you grow up? That's
Right.
probably not the thing you would think of, but yet here you are.
Right. And you said niche, and that's really what it
Mhm.
is. It is so important to follow those breadcrumbs and and recognize them
Yeah.
as to how and allow them to push you into something that's perfect for you. And I'm very, very specific with all of my marketing and all of
Yeah.
the way that I speak to people, the way my website looks, everything. I'm very specific to my to what I portray that I do.
Was there ever, like along your journey, was there ever any doubt in your mind that this would work? Or did you ever question if this was the right path to follow?
Oh, I did for sure. In there's highs and lows with every business, and So in 2014, I, in 2014, I got married to my husband, Michael, and wasn't finding client. They weren't coming as quickly. And at that point in time, I was still just kind of still taking anything that came along.
Hmm.
I mean, it wasn't at that, I didn't have a full time business doing this until 2018. So before that,
Okay.
it was just here and there. I would get a vacation client and would remember, oh, I love this. This is really fun. But, I'm in a tourist town, but lots of businesses, like I was hired to do a website for a bar. I was, hired to do
Right.
Facebook ads for an insurance company.
Yeah.
But every time it would come back to some type of tourism business, it was just like my passion was there again. And I would think, this is great, but how do I reach more of these people? But there was definitely times I was like, ugh, this is not going to work because there's only so many people here. And I, at that time, wasn't marketing myself internationally.
Okay.
So I wasn't ever really sure, but I knew that I knew I could throw it in there every once in a while. Like I could always
Mhm.
find a client every once in a while, but it wasn't until one of my clients asked me specifically not to work with her competition. Like when she
Mhm.
hired me, she said, I don't want you helping somebody else down the road that's doing the same thing. She had a wedding venue
Right.
that also had rentals.
Okay.
And so she asked me to sign uh, basically a thing that said I couldn't work with any other vacation rentals within, I think it was 30 miles of her for like a year.
Hmm.
She paid me a lot of money to sign that. I mean, it wasn't like a
Yeah.
$200 job. But I
Yeah.
worked with her for
Right.
2 years. And so I did. And then that forced me to like really go out and look for
Hmm.
others. She's actually the one that told me about, so there's a blog. It's called Matt Landau is an industry leader, and his blog was called the Vacation Rental Marketing Blog. And you could join to be in their board, on their back end message board
Oh,
thing
cool.
group. So I joined that, and that's where I started, finding more clients from all over. So my next client after Wimberley and this area of the Hill Country, my next client was in New York State.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, um, Lake Placid.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Nice.
that's kind of how I started branching out.
Incredible. And so since 2018, you said this has been your full time. This is what you focus on and do. Since then, have you ever like do you ever get shiny object syndrome like the rest of us where you think like, "Oh, maybe I should go into this instead or maybe I should branch off here." Yeah. And
So
yeah.
it, I will say this, I still on occasion will help people with other types of businesses when it's interesting to me.
Oh, okay.
And that's such a luxury to say that.
Mhm.
But for example, I have a lady right now that she's a friend of mine. She was my hairdresser for years. She's got carpal tunnel syndrome so bad she can no longer do nails. She was my not
Oh,
hairdresser, nails. And so we're good friends. And she started a business doing watercolor painting and cards. So right
okay.
now I'm helping her set up her Shopify store and
Oh,
I'm teaching
cool.
her how to use Instagram.
Nice.
So um, I've done those little things with others before who have heard my name somewhere and reached out to me with another kind of business idea. So I do that. I don't advertise it. It's not something, and it really has to be just something that I'm like, oh, that would be fun. That's new.
Yeah.
That's different. I really love learning.
Mm,
Um, and I really love helping people. And so when it's somebody that can come to me and say, you know, this is my passion, help me make my passion a reality, then that's such a turn on, to go,
yeah.
yeah, I'd love to do that. So I
That
would say probably once a year I take on something that's a little different. And that helps me. That helps me
I
come
bet.
back and be focused.
I bet, because I could see how that could inspire your creativity in a whole different way by doing something outside of your regular
Yes.
realm.
Yes, it does. And another thing that I've done that helped me because for a long time I kind of got in a rut of building it's just like I was building the same websites for people
Mhm.
that they just kind of had the same look and feel. A lot of people in the industry didn't have that I was working with didn't have the budget for what I really wanted to do with their websites, you know. So I
Right.
got in a this was in 2019 and 20 during COVID. I was in a rut. I was making a
Mhm.
lot of money, but I was just turning over these same kind of websites, and I make them. I
Yeah.
call it I make it your own because I brand it and of course add their photos
Right.
and things. But in late 2020 or early 2021, I kind of restructured my brand myself to appeal to a little bit higher end clientele so
Nice.
that I only work with people who have luxury properties or luxury experience. So glamping properties or,
Yeah.
beach homes. Right now I'm doing a lady that has luxury homes in Myrtle Beach area. I
Oh,
just
nice.
finished a website that's yurts in the hill country. So
Cool.
when I'm able to do that and my clients trust me with the creativity of it,
Mhm.
then that's so much more fun, for me.
I bet. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I just picked up a new client, a consulting client that has chalets in Montreal.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's in some ski resort area in Montreal, Canada. So, when I'm able to do that, it does. It makes my brain go, yay, something new.
Mhm.
Not that there's anything wrong with condos in Myrtle Beach or
No.
condos along the Florida coast. It's just I've done so many of them.
Mhm.
I'm just tired of the same thing. So I like branching out and doing new things, new different things.
Well, it sounds like, almost like you've sort of niched within your niche now. Like you've become
Mhm,
so clear about who you work with. And would you
mhm,
say that's just come from experience then of working with different people and figuring out what you like and what lights you up?
mhm. It does. Like with any business, when you're working with businesses, so I still it's kind of hard because I love working with people who I know that I'm helping them make a living.
Mhm.
Like, and so, for example, my friend with the cards, I know that I'm going to help her make money that she's going to pay her electric bill with, or she's going to be paying her mortgage with. However, those people don't have a budget to really go big.
Yeah.
So I like having a mix of clients. I like having, I worked with a lady in the Florida Keys with 6 luxury vacation rentals. And it
Wow.
wasn't like money's no object, but literally I mean, she didn't ask
Yeah.
the question, how much is this going to cost?
Nice.
Her question is, how are you going to make my business better? And so when I'm able to specialize, I can definitely work with more people and then I can still feel good about picking and choosing people who I work with who may not have the money, but
Mhm.
I still can go in and help them and know that I'm helping them really make their, make their rent check, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's kind of weird. I've often thought about doing like a scholarship
Oh,
program,
cool.
where I, take an application and just do something for somebody for free or for a very low cost. Cause,
Nice.
yeah, I
That's
like
what
it.
that's what I could call like the heart work. Like we have the
Hmm.
work that feeds us and sustains us and puts the food on our tables, but then there's also those jobs that just make you feel good, and that's a different kind of payment.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
is hard work. And, but now that I have employees, I have 2 people that work for me almost
Mhm.
full time, and then my daughter, Katie, who's at college, she works for me when she thinks it's convenient, but I do pay her on a regular basis. But so when you have people that work for you, you have to be cognizant about the work that you're bringing in. It has to
Mhm.
sustain you and your business and, all of that. So it has to pay the bills, I guess is what I'm saying. But it still
Absolutely.
is, I still like I just turned down a client the other day. It was a couple of male investors. And I
Mhm.
could tell that even though they were kind of the money is no object people, they were all also um, very, like they wanted a due date.
Oh,
This
okay.
is our deadline. I'm a
Yeah.
creative, so deadlines don't work well for me. So I
Mhm.
have to work with people who are okay with me saying, I can't give you a for sure deadline because I may get a creative spurt one day and decide, we've talked about this before
Yeah.
about I'm just like, oh, but this would be great, but it's going to take me 3 extra days. So
Mhm.
I like having, it's art. Building a website for me
Yeah.
is art, and art can't be rushed. I guess that sounds kind of
Mhm.
corny.
No, it's true though, it's true.
Yeah, it is true.
Yeah, and I think, one of the things that I love about how you do your business is that you are so clear on that with your clients, that you don't work with hard deadlines because you know how you work creatively and you know how you get your best output,
Hmm.
and that you need the flexibility and time to be able to do it.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly right. And also, one of the reasons I went in, the reason I went into business for myself is because I really value my free time and my
Yeah.
kids and my husband and my dogs and my life. And so I don't give hard deadlines for that reason either.
Mhm.
Now, obviously, if somebody has a project that I've told them on Monday will be ready on Friday, that's different. That's a
Yeah.
hard deadline. But, if I need to take a weekend off to go visit my daughter in California because she's having a bad, time with her boyfriend, then I don't want a job or a deadline to stop me from doing that. So
Yeah.
that's another thing. And I realize that that is a luxury to have.
Mhm.
I mean, that is a very blessed luxury that to have, but I've created that luxury for myself. So,
Good. And I think that's why a lot of us get into entrepreneurship, is because we want that time freedom and we want the money freedom. And then so many of us get trapped into creating a job for ourselves where
mhm.
we don't get any of that. And we're working more hours than we would in a regular job anyway. So it's really great to hear how you've structured your business to work for you.
Yes, and then like this past weekend I didn't work, but there's weekends that I'm up at 7 a.m. on Saturday, just like it was Monday, and I work,
Yeah.
most of the weekend. Of course, you could be a little bit lazier, but it it's you have to understand, you have to know your boundaries, and
Hmm.
it's totally fine for me to work till 10 p.m. on a Tuesday night if I know that tomorrow, Wednesday, I'm not going to work at all and I'm going to go hang out with my mom,
Yeah.
for her birthday or whatever.
Yeah.
So, it it's definitely worth doing that
Mhm.
when you can, but it takes a while.
Yeah.
And I would say that take knowing your target market and knowing your skills and
Mhm.
developing your skills as much as possible.
Yeah. And I would say also, it sounds like knowing yourself too, knowing what works the best for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of that's one of the biggest issues that I had is, which you, again, this, I've never been business-like. I've never been corporate. And even when I was, working in more of a corporate environment, I worked for an accountant for a while. I worked in upper retail management for department stores before, when I was working in the, public relations for that nonprofit organization. I had to feel very corporate, put together in, not business suits necessarily, but not business casual
Right.
business. And that never suited me. It just never
Mhm.
suited me. So, here I am in a Janis Joplin t-shirt
I love it.
and, you know, the same pair of jean shorts that I wore yesterday. And not quite sure if I brushed my teeth this morning. But so that is was also a thing that held me back for a long time, was thinking I'm not good enough because I'm not corporate enough, or I don't present myself professionally. I've had 2 clients tell me that, and both of them were men that told me that didn't present myself
Wow.
professionally. Yeah. And
Mm.
so both of them, I said, all right.
Good for you.
But it taught me something about, again, who do I want to work with? And so when I have a meeting with a new client, I call it a happy hour or a coffee hour. So I don't
Nice.
say we're having a meeting. I say, let's plan our first happy hour call. And
Oh, I
because
love it.
I like calling them, I like doing around 4 p.m. calls.
Mhm.
And I present myself as casual from the very beginning. So it's very
Nice.
authentic. My first questions are never about their business. It's, how are you? Tell me about your dogs. Tell me about your kids. Tell me about your life. Why did you get in this
Cool.
business? And because I want them to realize that I am not just going to be a, this is your business and this is what we do.
Mhm.
I come with them. I also, one of the things that I do is I send them to before I'll meet with them, I send them a link to my about page of my website. And I say, it's important to me that you know, like, and trust me with your business. Here's my about page so that you can get to know me.
Nice.
And because I'm very clear on my about page about who I am and what's priority to me and, why I do what I do.
Nice.
So, and people love that. They always tell me that. They're always like, oh, this is, a really great way for them to get to know me. You see
Yeah.
my values very clearly
Yep.
in my about page on my website. So,
Yeah. I think that's such a great idea. And even just listening to that, I'm like, "Oh, I think I'm gonna do that."
right. Because you know how when yeah, it is. And I also, in my first meeting with my request form, I always have them write, tell me something about you that's interesting, that's
Oh,
not related to
nice.
your business. So, and sometimes you can always tell when people are like shocked by that question and don't know what to write.
Yeah.
So, but to me, that lets them know right away that I care about them and that
Mhm.
this is not just going to be a very structured business life relationship. And I have clients
Sweet.
that I'm friends with after I finish their project. And I'll be
Mhm.
honest, I think that that's one of the reasons I get invitations to go to people's properties for free all the
Nice.
time. I've stayed with 5 different rentals all across the country for free
Wow.
because the people love me when I work with them. They know I'm
Mhm.
invested. So, they
Yeah.
offer that to me often. I mean, I've stayed in really nice properties.
I bet. What a great perk to what you're doing.
It is a great perk. It is a very great perk,
Yeah.
especially when it's such a heartfelt a heartfelt thing. Like, I've had clients, and I know people get gifts and little cards and things from clients all the time. I've had clients send me whiskey because I like bourbon.
Mhm.
And so a lot of times at the end of a project, I'll say, okay, we're going to have a happy hour bourbon call. And so they'll
Nice.
send me a bottle of bourbon. I've had 3 clients that have done that.
Oh, wow.
But for them to come out and say, hey, we really love for you to come to our property. That's really so awesome and meaningful
Yeah.
to me.
I bet. That's such a like, that's just so special.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
special. And what a great memory.
Absolutely.
I mean, we went to the Florida Keys for a week. So that
Nice.
was amazing. And she's still a good client and a good friend, that lady in the Keys.
Mhm. That's amazing. What would
Yeah.
what would you say to someone, an entrepreneur who's maybe struggling to find their niche? Do you have any advice for how they can start to narrow that focus?
There are so many of those. People ask me that actually all the time. So I suggest my first thing that I tell people to do is to write a list of your must-haves that you want in your business, and then the things that you love, hobbies.
Yeah.
Like, even if so I have a really good friend in the industry that we met through Marie Forleo's B School.
Oh, yeah.
I did that in 2016, and she and I met through there. And then she struggled with finding her niche, and sticking to a niche is really what she
Yeah.
struggled with. And so I told her about it 2 years ago. I said, why don't you just like think about the things that you love to do
Mhm.
and then try to figure out how you can help people that love to do that same thing. And she loves tennis and that other tennis type pickleball,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And so even though her business isn't in that industry, she started networking with people and she found other
Oh,
ladies who enjoyed tennis. And when she was working with people, I mean, she helps people build Kajabi
oh,
website.
great. Yeah.
But so she just found that she could find new client that way through that
Nice.
connection with tennis and pickleball and that kind of thing. So, I think that it's so hard. I mean, I think
Mhm.
you really have to be lucky in a lot of ways to find your niche, but also don't
Yeah.
don't give up and keep trying
Mhm.
new things
Yeah.
until you get there. But I will say this, once you get there, once you feel like, I can really enjoy this business, I think
Mhm.
that's one of the biggest problems is people give up too quickly.
Oh,
Like it's
yeah.
not working for them. And so they
Mhm.
don't know how to, they're scared almost to stay small
Yeah.
because it is hard when you think, well, there's only 18 people that might ever need me for this, but that's not true.
Yeah. Well, there's 8 billion people on the planet, so there's
Right.
right? And they're
Right.
all gonna need not all of them will need the same service, but there's enough people that in
Right.
any niche you can find your people.
Right. And like even like with vacation rentals for that's a great thing. Like if
Mhm.
there are big Airbnb groups of people who are asking help from other Airbnb owners. I'll go into some of those groups sometime and pay attention to the conversations. Those, a lot of, I mean, more than half of the people in those groups don't even know that they could have their own website and book off of Airbnb
Wow.
and off the platforms. It's never even occurred to them that they can set up a system where all their calendars and their communications happen automatically. Like
Mhm.
they're so reliant on this idea that they have Airbnb or VRBO or TripAdvisor is the platform where they book their property that what I
Mhm.
do is completely foreign idea to them.
Yeah.
So, but then there's a whole bunch of people who know that what I do is now fairly not common, but a lot of people, even Airbnb announced, I believe in May of this past year, that the book direct movement had gotten so big that they were worried about it taking away business from them.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but there's still tons and tons and tons and tons of people with Airbnbs that have no clue.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to you and your audience, if you're looking for an Airbnb,
Yeah.
you don't have to go to Airbnb. You can do a Google search. You can go to Airbnb or VRBO, and if you read in the listing, a lot of times they'll give you hints about the name of their property. Moonshine
Oh.
Cabin, then you could just do a Google search, Moonshine Cabin, Austin, Texas. And a lot of times you'll find their
Oh,
Facebook
wow.
page or their website, and you don't have to pay all those fees to VRBO. I mean, I don't know
Mhm.
if you've ever paid attention, but those fees are expensive. And
Yeah.
not just that, the owners are paying their fees as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So when you book direct, usually you're going to get quite a bit of a savings.
Oh, that's such a good tip. I never thought of that before.
Yeah.
'Cause I've
Yeah.
seen
And
that
even
where
it,
a lot of them have, like, their property has a name or they have
Mhm.
I never thought to just Google that name.
Yeah, and if you look through the pictures, sometimes in their photos, they'll have a little watermark at the bottom that says, moonshinecabin.com.
Oh.
Or they'll have a picture. Beach houses do this a lot. They'll have the sign in front of their beach house that says, Seagull, whatever house. And
Yeah.
then it'll have the phone number and it'll say book direct with the phone number on the sign that's in the picture.
So smart.
Yeah. And then you can call them and find out more if they book direct. Because
Oh, wow.
yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of ways that you can kind of get around that. But then I teach the people that I work with, I teach them how to use content marketing, blogging,
Mhm.
Pinterest, Instagram as well.
Yeah.
So Instagram, do Instagram, you can do a hashtag search for vacation rental, wherever. And
Right.
usually you'll find people. Um, Vacation rentals direct is a good hashtag to search. So you
Nice.
can do searches for those to find them.
I'm a big Instagram girl, and I have never thought to look for a vacation rental through there.
I know, but
Oh, man.
yeah, they're there. They're all over.
You're gonna
And
make
they're
my
fun to follow
yeah,
because usually the ones that are doing a really good job on Instagram are, they share information about the things to do. Those are the people like when they're really professional in doing this professionally and building the websites, they know a lot about their destination. So they can really
yeah.
help you plan your trip. They can make it special for
Nice.
you for the most part. They can really give you ideas on things to do for, your specific itinerary. And so it's really good to get in touch with them and get to know them because they're so helpful. A lot of them will give you
I
little
bet.
extras like, um, they'll plan an entire itinerary for you if you ask them to.
Oh, that's incredible. You're gonna
Yeah.
make my next vacation so much better.
I mean, that's what I teach and that's what they're learning. Not
Yeah.
all of them. Some of them are gonna, you're nuts. What are you talking about? Google it. But for the most part, the people who are really promoting their rental are promoting their destination. They're
Yeah.
they're just they're passionate about what they do, just like I am and just like you are. So they
Mhm.
want to help people have a good time because they want you to come back. They want
Right.
you to tell your friends all about their amazing property and their amazing vacation. So yeah, they want
Yeah,
to do anything they can to help you.
that's amazing. Now,
Yeah.
can we talk about your podcast a little bit too?
Oh,
Share your
yes.
podcast. Can you tell us about your podcast?
So, with your wonderful, amazing coaching,
Oh,
I launched a podcast this year after wanting my first idea to have a podcast was in 2017.
wow.
And yeah, and I never did it. Then I recorded 2 episodes in 2018, shut it down because I was so embarrassed. And then with I don't even remember how we met, but now I do. But then I joined your podcasting little course and mini
Yeah.
course and or challenge
Mhm.
that was such a great investment. And now I think I'm recording episode 12 right after you and I get off the phone. But what has been so exciting is that it's doing so well. It's called the Savvy Host Roadmap.
Mhm.
So it's all about vacation rentals and it's 15 to 20 minutes, very actionable, really good tips on all sorts from using Instagram to creating your target market to better guest experience, all sorts of different things. But the feedback I'm getting is so amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a high. I even got one. I mean, I got another one yesterday from a lady that just randomly sent me an Instagram
Wow.
message and said she had found my podcast and how much she had learned. She said she binged all of the episodes in one afternoon. And then she
Wow.
marked down, because in one of my podcasts, I give the idea if you're wanting to go back to something to take a screenshot on
Mm,
your phone and that shows the timestamp.
nice.
So she said she somehow that was in one of my first episodes, I guess. But so she did that throughout. She said, now I have all these places that I'm going to go back to and re-listen to and take notes on.
Smart.
And she just randomly found my podcast. I asked her how, and she said she was listening to Vacation Rental Podcast and it came up in the thing as a suggested podcast. Isn't that
Nice.
awesome?
That's amazing.
I know.
And they're so good. Like, I'm not a vacation rental property owner yet, but that is in my plans for the next
Yes,
year
it should be
to
on your
1 to 2
plan.
years. It's in my plan. Um, but I love listening to your show because I also learn a lot about marketing and get inspired to think of content differently or my business differently. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
I appreciate that. I have a couple of other friends that listen to it too for just to support me, but also they both told me that, that I help them think outside the box. So I was very fortunate, which I failed to mention when I was talking about my career path. When in 2015, I decided to start freelancing for a man here in Austin who does online marketing, and he's very
Mm,
well known as a Google Analytics and optimizations expert. His name is Chris Mercer. He is a very
mm,
successful, and he's a speaker in Google Analytics. I was an account manager for him for 4 years part time.
mhm.
So I learned so much. He paid for me to go to like digital marketing social media marketing world,
Wow.
digital marketers, traffic and conversions conferences. I went to conferences, marketing conferences all over, and he paid for his entire team to go because he was
Oh,
speaking there. So we got free admission.
nice.
So he's paying for the travel. So I learned so much from that.
I bet.
That is, I've been blessed that I'm able to take that knowledge that I learned and
Mhm.
turn it into other ideas. And I'm very thankful for that opportunity. And then also with the tourism money, the $50,000 in tourism money, I was really able to play with marketing,
Yeah.
and that was really great for me.
Mhm.
Oh. Oscar's having a nightmare back here.
So
My
long.
dog.
Poor guy.
So that was really, exciting. And that's some advice I would give any entrepreneur is to just play,
Hmm.
listen to things outside of the box and play and, go to some of those like Coursera, some of those places and
Yeah,
take a couple of free courses, even outside of your niche, you'll learn stuff.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jody, for coming on today and sharing your story and your insights and expertise. And I'll put all of your links in the show notes. So for those of you listening, you can connect with Jody, follow her, find her, listen to her podcast. And thank you again.
Thank Well, thank you, Terry.